Welcome back. Time for dinner. We're on Judges chapter 4. And when Ehud was dead, the children of Yisrael again did evil in the eyes of Jehovah. Therefore Jehovah sold them into the hand of Jabin, the sovereign of Canaan, who reigned in Hatzor. And the commander of his army was Sisera, who was dwelling in Harosheth Hagoyim. And the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah, because he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he harshly oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was ruling in Israel at the time, and she was dwelling under the palm tree of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel, in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for right ruling. And she sent and called for Barak, son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, Has not Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, commanded, Go, and you shall draw towards Mount Tabor, and shall take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and the sons of Zebulun. And I shall draw unto you Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, and his chariots, and his company, at the Wadi Kishon, and shall give him into your hand. And Barak said to her, If you go with me, then I shall go, but if you do not go with me, I do not go. And she said, I shall certainly go with you, only there shall be no esteem for you in the journey you are taking. For Jehovah is going to sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. So Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up, 10,000 men under his command, and Deborah went up with him. And Heber, the Kenite, of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moshe, had separated himself from the Kenites, and pitched his tent near the terebinth tree at Sa'anaim, which is beside Kadesh. And they reported to Sisera that Barak, son of Abinoam, had gone to the Mount Tabor. So Sisera called all his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all the people who were with him, from Harosheth Hagoyim to the Wadi Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, Rise up, for this is the day in which Jehovah has given Sisera into your hand. Has not Jehovah gone out before you? And Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men after him. And Jehovah destroyed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army with the edge of the sword before Barak. And Sisera leaped from his chariot and fled away on foot. But Barak pursued the chariot and the army as far as Harosheth Hagoyim, and all the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword, not one was left. Sisera meanwhile had fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin, sovereign of Hatzor, and the house of Heber, the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said to him, Turn aside, my master, turn aside to me, do not fear. So he turned aside with her into the tent, and she covered him with a blanket. And he said to her, Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. So she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. And he said to her, Stand at the door of the tent. It shall be, if anyone comes and asks you and says, Is there a man here? You shall say, No. But Jael, Heber's wife, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him and drove the peg into the side of his head, and it went down into the ground, for he was fast asleep and exhausted, and he died. And see, Barak pursued Sisera. Yael came out to meet him and said to him, "Come, let me show you the man whom you are seeking." And when he went into her tent, there lay Sisera, dead with the peg in the side of his head. And on that day Elohim humbled Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, in the presence of the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel grew stronger and stronger against Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, until they had cut off Jabin, sovereign of Canaan. And on that day Deborah and Barak, son of Abinoam, sang, saying, "For the leaders leading in Israel, for the people volunteering, bless Jehovah. Hear, O sovereigns, give ear, O princes. I do sing to Jehovah. I sing praise to Jehovah, Elohim of Israel. Jehovah, when you went out from Seir, when you stepped from the field of Edom, the earth shook and the heavens poured, the clouds also poured water. The mountains flowed at the presence of Jehovah, this Sinai at the presence of Jehovah, Elohim of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Yael, the highways were deserted, and the travelers went in crooked ways. Leadership ceased, it ceased in Israel, until I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Israel arose. They chose new mighty ones, then fighting was in the gates. Neither a shield nor spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is towards the inscribers of Israel, the volunteers among the people, bless Jehovah. You who ride on white donkeys, you who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk along the way, declare it. The voice of shouters between the places of drawing water, there they recount the righteous acts of Jehovah, the righteous acts of his leadership in Israel. Then the people of Jehovah shall go down to the gates. Wake up, Deborah, wake up, sing a song. Arise, Barak, and lead your captives away, O son of Abinoam. Then he set the remnant to rule the nobles. Jehovah came down from me against the mighty ones. Out of Ephraim their root is against Amalek. After you, Benjamin, with your peoples. Out of Machir and scribers came down, and out of Zebulun those who handled the scribes' reed. And the heads of Issachar were with Deborah, and as Issachar, so was Barak sent into the valley under his command. Among the divisions of Reuben there were great searchings of heart. When did you remain among the sheepfolds to hear the bleating of the flocks? The division of Reuben has great searching of heart. Gilad remained between the Jordan. And why did Dan remain on ships? Asher continued at the seashore and remained by its landing place. Zebulun is a people who risked their lives to the point of death. Naphtali also on the heights of the field. Sovereigns came, they fought. Then the sovereigns of Canaan fought in Taanach. By the waters of Megiddo they took no spoils of silver. From the heavens they fought. The stars from their course fought against Sisera. The Wadi of Kishon swept them away, that age-old Wadi, the Wadi of Kishon. O my being, you have trampled in strength. They stamped hoofs of horses with the galloping of his steeds. Curse Meroz, said a messenger of Jehovah. Curse its inhabitants, because they did not come to the help of Jehovah, so the help of Jehovah among the mighty. Blessed among women is Yael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Above women in tents she is blessed. She asked for water, she gave milk. He asked for water, she gave milk. She brought out curdled milk in a bowl for nobles. She stretched her hand to the tent peg, and her right hand to the workman's hammer. Then she pounded Sisera, she smashed his head, she pierced and struck through the side of his head. Between her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay still. Between her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell, destroyed. Through the window the mother of Sisera looked and cried out through the lattice, "Why does his chariot delay to come? Why have the steps of his chariot tarried?" The wise ones of her princesses answered her. Indeed, she answered herself. Do they not find and divide the spoil? A girl or two for each man, a spoil of dyed work for Sisera, a spoil of dyed work, embroidered, dyed work richly embroidered for the neck of the looter. So do all your enemies perish, O Jehovah, but let those who love him be like the sun rising in its might. And the land had rest for 40 years. And the children of Israel did evil in the eyes of Jehovah, and Jehovah gave them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. And the hand of Midian was strong against Israel. And before the faces of the Midianites, the children of Israel made for themselves the refuges which are in the mountains, and the caves, and the strongholds. And it came to be, whenever Israel had sown, that Midian would come up, and Amalek and the people of the east would come up against them, and encamp against them, and destroy the increase of the soil as far as Azah, and leave no food in Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor donkey. For they came up with their livestock and their tents, coming in as numerous as locusts, and they and their camels were without number, and they came into the land to destroy it. Thus Israel was brought very low because of Midian. And the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah. And it came to be, when the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah because of Midian, that Jehovah sent a prophet to the children of Israel, and said to them, Thus said Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, I have brought you up from Mizraim, and I brought you out of the house of bondage, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Mizrites and out of the hand of all your oppressors, and drove them out before you, and gave you their land. And so I said to you, I am Jehovah, your Elohim. Do not fear the mighty ones of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell, and you have not obeyed my voice. And the messenger of Jehovah came and sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gidon threshed wheat in the winepress, to hide it from the eyes of the Midianites. And the messenger of Jehovah appeared to him and said to him, Jehovah is with you, you mighty brave one. And Gidon said to him, O my master, if Jehovah is with us, why has all this come upon us? And where are all the wonders which our fathers related to us, saying, Did not Jehovah bring us up from Mizraim? But now Jehovah has left us, and given us into the hands of Midian. And Jehovah turned to him and said, Go in this strength of yours, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. I have not sent you. And he said to him, O Jehovah, with what do I save Israel? See, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And Jehovah said to him, Because I am with you, you shall strike the Midianites as one man. And he said to him, Please, if I have found favor in your eyes, then show me a sign that it is you who are speaking with me. Please, do not move away from here until I come to you and bring out my offering and set it before you. And he said, I shall stay until you return. And Gideon went and prepared a young goat and unleavened bread from an ephah of flour. The meat he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and he brought them out to him under the terebinth tree and presented it. And the messenger of Elohim said to him, Take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. And the messenger of Jehovah put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and fire went up out of the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread, and the messenger of Jehovah went from his sight. And when Gideon saw that he was a messenger of Jehovah, Gideon said, O Master Jehovah, for I have seen a messenger of Jehovah face to face. And Jehovah said to him, Peace be with you, do not fear, you do not die. And Gideon built a slaughter place there to Jehovah, and called it Jehovah Shalom. To this day it is still in Ophrah of the Abiezerites. And the same night it came to be that Jehovah said to him, Take the young bull of your father and the second bull of 7 years old, and you shall throw down the slaughter place of Baal that your father has, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it. And you shall build a slaughter place to Jehovah your Elohim on top of this rock in an orderly way, and shall take the second bull, an offering and ascending offering, with the wood of the image which you cut down. And Gideon took 10 men from among his servants, and did as Jehovah had said to him. And it came to be, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city too much to do it by day, that he did it by night. And the men of the city arose early in the morning, and saw the slaughter place of Baal was broken down, and the Asherah that was beside it had been cut down, and the second bull was being offered on the slaughter place which was built. And they said to each other, Who has done this deed? And when they had inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, son of Joash, has done this deed. And the men of this city said to Joash, Bring out your son, so that he dies, for he has broken down the slaughter place of Baal, and because he has cut down the Asherah that was beside it. And Joash said to all who stood against him, Would you plead for Baal? Would you save him? Let the one who would plead for him be put to death by morning. If he is a mighty one, let him plead for himself, because his slaughter place has been broken down. So that day he called him Yerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he has broken down his slaughter place. Now all Midian and Amalek and the people of the east were gathered together, and they passed over and encamped in the valley of Yisrael. Then the Spirit of Jehovah came upon Gideon, and he blew the shofar, and the Abiezerites gathered behind him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also gathered behind him. And he sent messengers to Asher and to Zebulun and to Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said to Elohim, If you are saving Israel by my hand, as you have said, see, I am placing a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece, and it is dry on all the ground, then I shall know that you are saving Israel by my hand, as you have said. And it was so, and he rose early the next morning, and pressed the fleece, and wrung dew out of the fleece, to fill a bowl with water. And Gideon said to Elohim, Do not be displeased with me, and let me speak only this time. Please, let me try only this time with the fleece. Please let it be dry only on the fleece, and let there be dew on all the ground. And Elohim did so that night, and it was dry on the fleece only, but there was dew on all the ground.